Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Nathan, what's up? So we are here. We're going to talk playoffs. Obviously, we have two games tonight. Last game, or most likely last time of the season, there will be, two different games because we're going to be in the conference finals for the West and then the conference finals for the East. I would assume that, you know, this is the last two game night. So that's unfortunate, but we'll talk about it. Last night, obviously, Pacers beat the Cavs, finished them off, and then the Thunder won another close one over the Nuggets. We'll see, tomorrow if the Nuggets can force a game 7, or go back to OKC. But that was a good game. Thunder separated late. Jokic and SGA were kind of just going back and forth at the end of the game. It was really fun to watch. I think we have a good chance for the futures. If you followed along with the futures we took on Monday, those odds have come way down. The Wolves are -11, so they hopefully close out tonight. And then it's just going to come down to what happens in those next series. If we could, ideally, we get the Wolves Pacers NBA Finals, and we get an automatic winner. But the Thunder could easily. The Thunder are the clear favorite, I think, right now to win, the title. And the Knicks are playing well too. I think Knicks Pacers is going to be a really, really fun series. So we'll talk about these games. We also have PGA Championship starting tomorrow. So I just finished up. It's not a huge betting card for me, but I do have some stuff to give out there. And then Steve is going to come on at 11:30. We're going to talk NHL. And then we have a new tool that is not available to the public yet. We are testing this tool, but we're going to show it off on the stream, and you guys can check it out. It's AI tool within Sportwise that is pretty cool in my opinion. So we'll kind of see how you guys like it. It's still being worked on. It's not finalized or anything, but we have it working to the point to where we can at least show it off and get some opinions on it. We'll start with PGA because I'm pretty excited. I think this is going to be a low. Like, whoever wins this tournament is going to go low. I saw Rory's comments that he thought that the setup would be a little bit harder at Quail just because it's a major, but he kind of sounded like it was no different than, when they play the Wells Fargo. And if we look at kind of past, Wells Fargo scores, Rory won at, I think the last time Rory won last year was 17 under. And if we go back to, I don't know, 2023, I think we typically see upper, 15, 16, 17 under win this. So I think this is going to be a pretty low scoring tournament here. Complete opposite of what, we're expecting the US Open to be in June. But this is where I'm at. I think Rory has extremely good course history at this course. And like we talked about earlier this week, maybe he kind of got that pressure off him after winning the Masters, and that frees him up a little bit. So, I don't really ever bet on Rory. If you follow me, you know that. But I am taking Rory. He's 5-1 on DK, so I would take it on DraftKings. But I'm going to put a half unit to pay 3 units on Rory at 5-1. Feel pretty strong about him here, coming off that Masters win and just elite course history. He's played well here a number of times. He has the lowest scores here as well. It's really, really good course for him. And I'm assuming it's be pretty soft because of that rain they've had. So I think, 18, 19 under winner is definitely in play here. But Rory 5-1, my favorite pick, and it's chalky, but that's who I'm going to be betting. I also have a 19-1 on Bryson. So I didn't really give this out, but I parlayed Bryson with the Cavs or the Celtics, one of the two, earlier last week. And it was when Bryson was like 11-1 at this point, and then parlaying them with the basketball team, it got him to a 19-1. So I have a 19-1 on Bryson. If Rory doesn't win, Bryson would probably be my pick. He also has been in good form on Live. Obviously, he struggled in that final round at the Masters, but other than that round, he's played pretty well, and the form is good for him too. Another, sets up well for him here. So I do like Bryson, but if you don't, have the ability to get him up to that number, I just would avoid it. Rory is my main play. I also have two other outrights that I'm going to take at longer odds. Obviously, you guys know my GOAT, Sepp Straka. He is the only player other than Rory to win multiple times this season. I've told you for like 2 months now that I think he's going to win the U.S. Open, or at least be in contention at the U.S. Open, and I will be at the U.S. Open final round. So hopefully, if we can get an 80-1 or whatever we took Sepp Straka at for the U.S. Open in the mix on Sunday, and I'm there, it's going to be absolutely electric. But even though he won last week, I'm going to continue to bet him every single week. So Sepp Straka 70-1, and then a real long shot, Akshay Bhatia 150-1. Typically, I don't take, I don't really take long odds plays like this in majors, but this is a little bit different. Just kind of given the setup and stuff. I think, these guys can compete a little bit more, as opposed to like at the US Open, I would never, take a 150-1 shot on someone, but this is a little bit different. Frosty, what's up? So for outrights, Rory, Sepp Straka, Akshay Bhatia, and then Rory is going to be a half unit. These guys are just going to be, quarter unit or less. My main play for this tournament is going to be close to 2 units, and it's going to be Xander Schauffele top 10. So it's plus 170 on FanDuel. It's plus 180 on DraftKings. So I would take it there to get that extra 10 cents. But we talk about this all the time. Xander Schauffele usually is my first click in these majors for top 10. He always plays well. For a long time, he played well at majors and couldn't win. He finally won them, last year. He started off slow this season with the injury that he was working through, but he's rebounded. He's played very well since then, and he's another guy similar to Rory that has very, very good course history at Quail Hollow. So feel pretty good getting Xander at plus 180, including ties for a top 10. So that's going to be my main play, close to 2 units, Xander top 10. And then we've got the Rory, Sepp Straka, Bhatia outrights. For first round leader, we hit first round leader at the Masters with Justin Rose. I don't have anyone right now that really sticks out to me. I'm sure everyone and their mom will be betting Keith Mitchell first round leader because he's hit it 3 or 4 times in the last 2 months. But I'll probably just roll with like Bryson and Bhatia for first round leader, and I might throw Patrick Cantlay in there as well. So maybe Cantlay, Bhatia, Bryson for my first round leader picks. But I had a really good feeling about Rose at the Masters, just given that, he had done it before there, and he always in the mix at Augusta, and he has good, first round course history there. It's a little bit more sticky. This one, I think, you can get a little more off the board. So I don't know. Akshay and Bryson are probably my main picks for first round leader. But I feel pretty confident. I think Rory's going to win this, and I think Rory is going to – he could potentially go 3 majors in a row, because I could see him winning this, and I could see him winning at Oakmont. I mean, which would be insane considering it took him, a little over 10 years between major wins, but it kind of sets up perfect for him. He got the Augusta win. Now PGA at the perfect course for him. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And if you guys join late or miss this, I'll tweet the golf picks out later as well. As for this game, Celtics are minus 4.5. So I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Celtics rally and win this and at least, get it back to New York for another game. But at the same time, it might just be it just might just be like a Cavs situation. I mean, Vegas has really been respecting these teams, rightfully so. But the Cavs were favored in every game against the Pacers. And they were -7.5 last night, fully healthy. And they, lost the game by 7. So I don't really think you can look at it as like oh, Vegas knows like the Celtics are favored. They're gonna win. I mean, like I said, the Cavs were 7.5 point favorites last night and they lost the game pretty handily. So this could be a situation where Vegas is just giving a little bit too much respect to this team, but I wouldn't be shocked if they won. I would have been pretty surprised if the Cavs won and covered that 7.5 yesterday. I thought that was a little bit crazy, just given how they've played. Pacers played better than them the entire series. So I would be a little bit surprised about that. This one, I would be less surprised just because you can look at it at the angle of like maybe the team rallies around, losing their star player and, they at least force it to another game. I don't think there's any chance the Celtics, come back and win the series without Tatum, but could they win this game at home? Most certainly. So I probably won't be betting on a side of the game. I think some prop stuff is interesting, particularly the Porzingis unders. When I looked at this earlier, his lines were really high, and it's just because Tatum's out. But I don't really know how you trust him. He's played terrible for the entire series. He's clearly not 100%. Like FanDuel doesn't even have his odds up. I don't remember what book. It was probably Bet365, but I did see some Porzingis odds. Oh, right here. 20.5 points plus rebounds. I feel like that's come down a little bit. Let me look at his points. Yeah, like 14.5 points. I don't think there's any way Porzingis scores 15 points. I just can't trust that. So I do think that's an interesting look. What are the odds for a perfect Rory 1, Bryson 2? That would be pretty crazy. Do you think teams do we really want to take that trip, just lose and give up situations like this in the Cavs last night? I don't know, Guru. I don't know if there's a way to know unless you're like inside the team. I would find it hard to believe any NBA team would just be like, we're just going to give up. But I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I definitely like Porzingis under points, though. I don't think there's any way he scores 15. I don't even trust him to score 10 points, let alone 15. I don't know if they have that like exact finish, Frosty. That would be interesting. Winning score. I don't think they have like an exact, unless it's under this maybe. I don't see anything. I need to look into like this bogey free round one. I need to like do some research on that. That could be an interesting market just given the course. I don't ever bet this market either. I never bet these like winner without markets. I don't think it's really like good long term. But in this exact scenario, I do think there's a little bit of intrigue for me with this. Like I think Xander, winner without Rory and Scotty, Xander at 14-1 is interesting. I mean, if you think back to past seasons, so we'll look at last year, for example. Actually, even last year, he was probably a little bit lower after he won one. But I mean, you're typically getting Xander, 10, 11, 12-1 to win these tournaments by himself. And now we're getting him 14-1 to win it without two players just because of his struggles this season. But he really hasn't been struggling that much as of late. So I think Xander here would have a little bit of interest for me. Patrick Cantlay would have a little bit of interest for me. I need to look into that a little bit. We'll definitely take some three balls too. I'll look at these tomorrow. I thought it was hilarious how they grouped these guys. Did you guys see this? The group tomorrow. Let me find it. I mean, they just went crazy. Xander, Rory, Scotty in the same group. Like, it's just crazy. I feel like normally they split them up a little bit. It'll be like Rory, Xander, and then they'll throw in like, I don't know, someone else in place of Scotty. But they just went 1, 2, 3 right in a row of all the best players, which is pretty crazy. Should be fun to watch. But I'll look at three balls later tonight, and tomorrow we'll definitely look at some of those. Oh, I gotta give. I just realized I have to send Steve the link to this so he can join. All right, back to the NBA games though. Porzingis, I'm interested in his under points tonight. In the late game, we've kind of been hammering Julius Randle as of late, and he has played very, very well. I'm sure his points prop is even more juicy. It's 21.5 and it's minus 130 over. Keep in mind we were getting this at 18.5 2 games ago, but like I said, it's a very clear mismatch for him against this front court, and I don't really see him slowing down. He has been playing incredible basketball. So if you want to look at Julius Randle again, you can. What I think would be an interesting angle is if Steve Kerr just reverts to trying. I mean, it's 3-1 back against the wall. Curry is not going to play. He may just revert back and just try anything that works. So I would kind of be interested in seeing if Kevon Looney plays more tonight than he has basically all playoffs. So obviously Kevon Looney has a big history with the Warriors in the playoffs and how well he's played. He has really topped out. If you look at his minutes against Houston, 9, 13, 14, 5, 11, 2, 11. It's kind of been all over the place. And he just hasn't really been on the floor much. One game against Houston, 14, he had 5 rebounds. And then if you notice, he's been playing more overall against the Wolves, 14, 18, 14. So it's much more consistent with his minutes loads here. And his rebounding 6, 6, and 8 in 3 of the 4 games. I don't know if the books will post his rebounding lines. You might be able to find them somewhere. I don't see him on FanDuel, though, unfortunately. And I didn't see them on DraftKings either. But if we could find a rebounding line for Kevon Looney, I might be a little bit interested in that. Maybe he plays, maybe he plays like 18 to 20 minutes tonight in just a hopes that they try different things. I know they've been kind of starting Trace Jackson Davis, but maybe they go back. I don't know if I'm not saying they'll start Looney, but I could see Looney playing 18 to 20 minutes tonight as opposed to 14. And I would be interested in his rebound prop if it ever gets posted. I just don't know if FanDuel will post it, but just some thoughts there, as well as, Julius Randle points. And then, Jonathan Kuminga is the only player on the Warriors that seems to want to score the basketball. We're not really getting any good value on it anymore, but it's pretty crazy. His points line's 18.5. I would probably just avoid that. I thought we were going to see like 15.5. 18.5 is a little bit crazy, but he's the only one that's being aggressive and trying to score the basketball. I don't really know what was going on with Jimmy Butler last game. He was passing up open layups early on in the game. I don't know what the game plan was or if that was premeditated, but passing up open looks early in the game and taking 9 shots. Jimmy Butler taking 9 shots in a playoff game without Steph Curry when they're down 2-1 is insane. I don't understand. Does anybody know what that is? He took 26 shots the game before, and then he comes out and takes 9 shots. Only got to the line 5 times, 5 free throw attempts. I don't understand. I don't know. It's unexplainable. So I don't really know how you would bet on him. Maybe he, listens to everyone talking smack about him. He comes out and he's more aggressive. I don't know, but that was perplexing to me. Kuminga's taken 18 and 13 shots the last 2 games. He scored 30 and 23 points. He has been shooting really, really efficiently, though, 60% and 47%. So, maybe that corrects a little bit. And I just would be hesitant. I think at that 18.5 point line, I thought he was going to be at like 15 points or something. I would have been interested, but 18.5, I'll probably pass on that. Porzingis under is probably my favorite overall play today. Porzingis under 14.5 points. There's just no way this guy scores 15 points. I'll believe it when I see it. Before Steve jumps in, we can look at the baseball slate here. We do have some day games. I gave out Tigers yesterday on stream. They won. That was pretty easy. Finally, they, scored some runs. I thought it was pretty crazy that Javi Baez, I saw some people talking about it last night, but he has been back. I don't know what to explain. 319 average. I think he hit 2 home runs last night. Yeah. He's hitting 319. I mean, that's good. Good for Javi Baez, man. Like the bounce back. He was so bad for the last few years. The Tigers are really good, man. I didn't end up taking really any MLB futures, but I was really heavy on like Rangers stuff, and I had Tigers over wins written down, and I really wish I would have taken that. The Tigers kind of look like a wagon, to be honest with you. I would not want to play them in a playoff series. If I was any other American League team, I would not want to play the Tigers in a series, assuming they're fully healthy by the time we get to the playoffs. But, I mean, if they can score runs, we know their pitching and bullpen is great. It was last season. They rode it to the playoffs. But if they're actually able to score runs, that's a pretty scary team. I'm sure the odds have come way down on them to, like, win the AL. Yeah, I mean, they're down to 14-1 for the World Series, but looking for league winners. Yeah, plus 550. That sucks. I feel like we missed the boat on that one, unfortunately. Looking at these early games, though, I might be interested in some Philly props. I can tell you off the rip, going against Eric Fetty. So Eric Fetty, Nathan shouted that out. He shoved against the Nationals what was that, like Friday? I don't know. Nathan, you called that out in chat. That was a good call. But I'm still, fine picking on him. His numbers overall don't look super imposing. 4.92 expected ERA. He doesn't really have any many strikeouts. But more importantly, he throws a lot of sinkers. And the Phillies have some pretty good sinker hitters, notably Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. So Kyle Schwarber, if we look at last season against sinkers, 393 batting average, 58% hard hit rate. This season, 375 and a 64% hard hit rate. If we go back to even 2023, we're looking at a 54% hard hit rate. It's like good numbers across the board. Against sinkers for Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper is kind of the same as well. 294 batting average this season, 337 last season. Let's see. We should have some decent BVP here because he pitched for the Nationals. We do. Let's see. Bryce Harper is 11 for 22 with 6 home runs off of Eric Fetty. Wow. 102 average exit velocity. And then Schwarber's 3 for 7 with a double and a home run. I mean, I'm sure Harper owns him. Yeah, I just noticed this. This is crazy. I'm sure every just like mindless person that goes off of like BVP is like, oh my God, those BVP discords are just all over Bryce Harper today. I wonder like what the odds are though. Let's see. 4-1. I'm actually interested. I might actually play this. I thought this was going to be like plus 250. You could talk me into a Bryce Harper home run today at 4-1 odds. Why is he not like plus 280 like any other? I mean, there's value on both of these guys, to be quite honest with you. Is it like bad weather or something? Let me check. Is there like mass winds blowing in or something? I'm a little bit confused about this. Well, it doesn't look crazy bad to me. I don't know. Okay. I mean, we have to play Bryce Harper home run just for the memes. So that's gonna be an ad today. Hits, runs, RBIs is probably juicy, but I'll probably play that as well. There's no way I don't play this after after we just discovered this. Let me see if I can find his hits, runs, RBIs line. Yeah, 4 bases is where's that at? Oh wait, they have hits, runs, RBIs on FanDuel today. How about that? 4 bases is plus 310. Hits, runs, RBIs is minus 165. It's a little too rich for my blood there. Schwarber at minus 125. That's a little bit more palatable for me, I think. But I don't know. Let me think about that. Bryce Harper, that has to be a play today. I think. All right, let me add Steven. And if you guys have any questions on anything, go ahead and ask those as well. Steve, how are we feeling? I know we're gonna, debut this tool and kind of give the people a look at that. I'm excited for that. But how are you feeling overall?
Good. It's good to see everybody. Just a reminder, Steve Kenway from Rolling Insights. I lead the team. And Ben, I'm really excited about today. I'm really excited. We're going to get an opportunity to really kind of show off some of the stuff we're working on Sportwise. For those on the pod that haven't checked it out, highly recommend sign up for Sportwise. And although we'll be really focused on Sportwise today, don't forget about data feeds. If you've got any data needs, you need data to power your platform, make sure you check that out as well. So I've always got to start with a little bit of a plug. So we can kick it off now, Ben.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested in data or if you need any data at all, Josh and I recorded a podcast last week. It's on the Rolling Insights YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just click over. But we kind of walked through what it is, how to sign up. You can get 30 free days of data to play around with it and see, if it's applicable for you. So go check that out as well if you guys are interested. Okay, Steve. So we can show off this tool. I do want to quickly get your thoughts on hockey and what's been going on there. And then if you feel inclined, I mean, we're going to be betting Bryce Harper home run today. We just discovered this. So everyone in the chat is going to be riding this if you want to ride this along with us.
Right, everybody else. But yeah, after the stream, I'll hop on the wagon as well.
Yeah, but okay, hockey-wise, our Dallas Stars, Steve. I put in a parlay on Monday. Timberwolves to win the NBA Finals, Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup. I think it was like 40. I think it was 42-1.
Wow.
And now it is, let's take a look. Now it's 24-1. So we got some pretty good, odds on that. Yeah. But the Stars are back, man. They have looked great.
They have. So we talked about Stars all year long. Big Stars fan. I like the composition of the hockey club. However, I do have to say I am cheering for the Jets this series. Being Canadian, and I do like the Jets too. It's one of those things where you get down to the end, you're kind of picking between two really good teams. So the interesting thing about this series so far is it shows you in the NHL how important your goalie is. So Connor Hellebuck for the Jets is arguably probably not arguably, like he is, definitely the best goalie in the world right now. And he's getting out goalied by his fellow American, Jake Ottinger. And if you look at last night, I can't remember what the shots were, 32-20 something. It was the Ottinger show. And there's a couple that I think Hellebuck would probably want back because the Jets absolutely peppered him. So, I think this series, although the Stars are up 3-1, it's closer than that. And I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends up going, 7. I don't think they're going to finish it in Winnipeg. I think they play on Thursday night, tomorrow night. So I'm still riding Stars to the end because I think that just team composition, as we talked about all year, they've got a really good chance to win the cup. But I hope at the very least this goes 7 games.
Yeah, and I definitely could see, that happening, most certainly. Tonight we have Panthers Leafs and then Oilers Knights. So I know we have someone that also works here on the team, Aiden. He's a big Oilers fan. So we were saying we need we need
Huge.
we need to do some live watch-alongs of these games with Aiden because I think that would be hilarious. But they're
It might
up
not be.
what 3-1?
They're up. Are they 3-1?
Yeah,
Or is
3-1.
it 3-1? Yeah, okay. They might those watch-alongs, those live streams might not be safe for TV.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna have to do that.
but
That might be Discord only. Like we can just
we did talk about Aiden potentially joining the two of us next Wednesday to talk a little bit of Oiler hockey. So keep that on the schedule, Ben. We'll have to confirm with him time, but he did say he'd be interested in coming on and talk a little bit of hockey.
yeah, that'd
So,
be great.
not an Oilers fan. It's sacrilege in Calgary to cheer for the Oilers, even though they're Canadian. They're the only Canadian team I won't cheer for. And it's just how I was raised. I was raised right. And the interesting thing is about the Knights Oilers is the Knights are a bigger team, bigger, more physical, built to withstand the punishment of the playoffs, and they're getting their butts kicked by the Oilers. They're getting tossed around. It's shocking. That part is absolutely shocking to me. I thought the speed and skill of the Oilers' top guys would cause problems for the Knights. I didn't expect the role players for the Oilers to be beaten up on the Knights. So we'll see. Like, it's tough to do that if you're the smaller guy over 7 games. If the Oilers can close it out, that'll be a good thing. Because otherwise, I don't think they really want to stay in this fight for a full series. It will make it a lot harder for them to go up against the Stars or Jets afterwards.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And we've kind of been talking the last like what 2 weeks about how like the Oilers have to run out of steam at some point. Like they're just like I don't know how they keep doing this, but they keep doing it. And that's what happens when you have the best player. You can ride that, but at some point, that's what happened last year, right? They rode it all the way
Yeah.
to Game 7 or whatever of the Stanley Cup, and it just didn't work out. So I would assume we probably see that same situation, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I completely agree. Like last year, I think last year they didn't necessarily specifically run out of steam like they did the year before.
Hmm.
But last year they played a lot of minutes. Like I forget what Connor McDavid's minutes were. It was like he averaged like 28 minutes a game throughout the season and postseason, which is like insane for a forward to be playing half the game. Um, so you start to play a bunch of long, deep playoff runs year after year. It does catch up with you. So they want to get if they're going to win this series, they want to get out as soon as possible to get some rest.
Yeah. What about the Panthers Leafs? So that one's 2-2, correct? And then we're back in Toronto tonight.
We're back in Toronto tonight. Leafs Nation thought, oh, first time since 1963 or something like that that they've had been up 2-0 in the first 2 rounds in the playoffs, and then boom, the Panthers came back. So it's best of 5 at this point, and I still think the Leafs look really good, but I think the Panthers have woken up, and again, I think we said the exact same thing last week. Panthers are the better team, but they played a lot of hockey and they're banged up. And these two teams, appear to hate each other. So
Hmm.
again, if they just go 7 games, this is hugely beneficial for Carolina and Washington, because whoever's going to be coming into that series is going to be tired and beaten up.
Yeah, and you did. So I want to say last week, Toronto was up. I don't know if they were up 1-0 and then they played that night and they went up 2-0 that night, or if they were up 2-0, I can't remember. But you said that you thought that would go 7 games, last week. So, and now it's back, 2-2 even after Toronto was up 2-0.
The interesting thing is that if they play Stolars now that he's kind of healthy and ready to come back in, because he's been a difference maker in the previous, throughout the season when he's been healthy and the previous series. So, not that Wool's been bad, but I think that could be the edge. I'm still picking the Leafs in 7 in that series.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we looked; it was even. It was even money. I remember that when we looked at the series price last week. Let me see. Yeah, Toronto's plus 164 now. Dallas, I'm assuming, yes, big favorites. Edmonton, big favorites. So I don't know. I guess so do you think pretty much these have all been decided? Or do you I know you said Winnipeg you think could come back, but realistically, do you think these are towards the end and then we're just gonna be waiting on this Toronto Florida series?
Well, so the interesting thing is that um, because the favorites in those two series are down, they're going back home to play the fifth game. And then they'll be in their home arena. They win the fifth game. Then all they have to do is win one on the road. And then it comes down to a one game, takes all. So, high probability that, the teams that are in the lead are going to win those series. But they've been so close. Like maybe the Edmonton Vegas series has not been as close, but Dallas and Winnipeg has, every game has been so tight.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Vegas has to wake up at some point and quit getting their butts kicked. So I don't know, and we'll see. I don't. I think to kind of just rehash it without mumbling around. Stars Jets, I think, go 7. I think the Oilers Knights go 6, and Oilers win.
Okay. All right. We'll kind of see how that plays out, but it's been fun to watch and should continue to do so. Guru, real quick, your comment and chat off topic, but I would look at Derek White plus money for rebounds probably. I mean, he had a bunch of rebound chances in all those games. Like we looked at the stats, and that was with Tatum playing. Obviously, you take Tatum off the floor, that's going to be a big, that's going to get spread out to the rest of the team. So I would be probably fine looking at his rebounds. All right, Steve. Before you share the screen and we talk about this real quick, I know you're a golf guy. Who do you like
Yep.
for the PGA Championship this week?
I just actually watched Full Swing. So your top 3 guys there are the top 3 guys that I'd be picking: Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, or DeChambeau. And Rory might be the slight favorite because he's got the monkey off the back, and all the bad thoughts have gone away after winning the Masters. So he might be at the edge there. I do think that DeChambeau is the best golfer out of those 3. Uh, Scheffler, when his putter's working, he's unstoppable because he's like one of the purest ball strikers, like DeChambeau on the tour. But DeChambeau has more tournaments where his putter is working better than Scheffler's. So I don't know. I think you pick those top 3 guys. That's kind of who I'm predicting, especially at uh, I forget where they're playing this week, but
Quail Hollow.
Quail Hollow, yeah, especially at Quail Hollow. I just think that you've got to be long and putt well.
Yeah, Rory should be the favorite in my opinion, or at least it should be. Like it's not like he's not. He's plus 450 and Scotty's plus 400, but they should be the same odds, or Rory slightly lower in my opinion. I mean, Rory's won at Quail 4 times in his career, and we know he, plays well there, and he's coming off obviously, like you said, the big win at Augusta. So I don't know, Rory. I never bet on Rory or pick Rory, but I am picking him this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they over skew to world rankings, the odds
Yeah.
makers.
Yeah, I was laughing. I don't know if you saw, but for the first 2 rounds, they put Scotty, Rory, and Xander all together, which I thought was funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there is also, something to be said about that. Like if you're in a good group and everyone's going low, generally you end up with overall for that grouping better scores. If you got one guy who's playing well and with two guys who don't, generally the guy who's playing well still doesn't score as well as the three guys that are all shooting the lights out. So Xander, he's obviously elite as well and high on that list of individuals who could win. So that could be a difference maker the first 2 days.
Yeah, Xander has good course history at Quail as well, and I don't know. I mean, he was working through that injury, but he's played pretty good the last couple times that he's played. I think he's getting to the point where he's getting over that. So we'll see
Yeah,
what
and
happens.
just
But
a reminder for those out there, we have PGA data. So if you require PGA, we only have it in data feeds today. It's not Sportwise, but you can scoop it out of the API if required.
yeah, whenever you're ready, you can
Okay,
share
let me
your
get
screen
set up
here.
here. I am set up behind the scenes, so let me
Yeah,
just.
let me know. Off topic, but looking at our FSGA league, I was following. I don't know if you noticed this. You made a big run over the weekend. You got up to like sixth place, and then you fell back down. But I was about to
Yeah.
text you and be like, "Are you making a comeback finally?" Like you were rocketing up the standings for a couple days there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I had to go back and look and see what stalled out because I was a bit surprised that didn't continue, to be honest.
Mhm.
Because I feel like my team has underperformed this year, particularly in the bats. But part of that, we'll look at some of this right now. So, just to give a little bit of a prelude, the tool we're looking at today, we brought in a group called M2M AI Ready, and they've worked with our team but primarily been responsible for building out what you're going to see. And so we brought them in to kind of experiment with generative AI and kind of building a chatbot that allows us to converse with the data. And one of the things that's unique about this compared to the others on the market is that the data that you're looking at is the data in your data space. So that can include the columns that you've selected. It includes the calculated columns you've created, and it includes any of the fantasy league data that you've imported. So if you've connected your account with Yahoo or Fantrax, and then last but not least includes any custom data you've uploaded. So one of the things that I think that's super powerful about this is that it's got that focus on your, data set that you're really looking at that's in your data space. So to lead that off, I'll start off, I'll open it up. This is, one of my kind of more competitive leagues. It's on CBS. It's a points format, and I've had some tough luck in this one as well. My two pitchers, George Kirby and Spencer Strider, have not
It's been
played
an
many
unlucky
games.
baseball season for you, Steve.
Have had a lot of injuries, which as you all know, one of my strategies is to not pick injured players. And so I'm just ready to log me out. Let me try this again. No, it didn't log me out, so that was just a little slower than expected. So I'll come in here and look at Buck Martinez. I don't know why it's taking so long to load. It's probably the screen
Yeah,
sharing that's slowing it down.
yeah, you got a lot of data in there too.
The so just to kind of give you a little like bit of background, it's head to head, it's points. I'm down at the bottom. And so I've got the a couple of things that I'm trying to figure out here. Is I'm trying to figure out, can I waiver wire inch my way up? Um, uh, I'm in this particular league in head to head. I'm big on bats because they're more consistent. Pitching, you have someone have a great game, that's fantastic. Then you come back the next week and they get blown out, and so that can really cause a lot of oscillations in your point totals. So I really like bats. And so in this league, I think that I could improve my bats. My draft is okay, wasn't great. I had a few foibles in the first 2 rounds. But overall, I think that's an area where I can improve. So, one of the things is I want to get some help on, finding some of these players. So, one of the interesting things, and I've cheated a bit, and I've got some prompts already kind of pre-prepared, so you don't have to watch me type. So, as everyone knows, I'm a big Jays fan. So if I'm coming in here and I'm looking at my team, so let's pull up my team here on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. So here's my team here. I've got them ranked. I've got all the positions, got a rank by fantasy points. This is for the last 30 days. And then I've got the fantasy points for the whole season right here. So I want to come in, find some bats. I really love the Jays. So is there any Jays that I can find? So as I'm going through and navigating on the left-hand side, trying to make some decisions, evaluating my team, I can ask coach. We've called him agent today, but we're going to come up with a name. I've been calling him coach. To help.
You've already built a very good relationship with us.
We're buddies, and I'll get into that at the end because you've kind of foreshadowed what kind of the future holds for it. But I'm going to ask it. Okay, send me the top 5 players, and the screen sharing must be slowing everything down.
Yeah, it probably is.
And so I can be in here, evaluating, seeing my roster and asking it questions about other things. So say, for example, I want to pull up all the players that are available, and I want to come up and I want to find all the Jays that are available. Where's Toronto at the bottom? Okay, so it finally returned that back. So it's come back in here and it said, here's the top guys for the Jays. So that's a really simple query. Obviously, it's based on this on this data space. But I'm looking at that list and I'm like, okay, well, he's not available. I already have him. He's not available. Probably not going to pick him up as a reliever. And Bo Bichette, I don't think he's available, and not really that performative over the last 30 days. So let's see if we can find somebody else that might be a better option for you. So find the top 5 players who have fantasy points per at bat in 2025 that also have a higher batter fantasy point ranking. So these two stats are, this is overall performance and this is normalized to number at bats. So if a player plays less but has been performing well, more, in a higher efficiency of those at bats, we'll find those individuals. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do some filtering. Where am I here? And I'm going to sort by fantasy points per at bat. There's a bunch of these kind of low gameplay individuals. So I'm going to filter those guys out. And I'm going to take a look at this and I'm going to say, okay, we've got some outfielders. We got Andy Ibanez, Liam Hicks, Jose Trevino, the catcher, Ellie White. Let's see what it says for who those top ranked players are of all the players, not just the ones that are available here. So I can kind of get a sense of who is, what is the range that we're working with? Like, is Alex Call actually a good option? And so looking at what a return back, Darian Blanco, Ryan Nelson, these guys probably not great options because they're not playing enough games. So let's go in and ask it. I think on my team in particular, I need a better second baseman. So I want to be a bit more focused on second baseman. So give me the top 5 second basemen by fantasy points. And what I'm going to come in here is I'm just going to take a look at second baseman and see who's available. I've got Ahmed Rosario. I've got Ellie White. And Wilmer Flores, Angel Martinez. These guys are all available. I picked up Tim Tawa already. So when I come in and take a look, we've got Jaron Duran, Ian Happ, ranging between 65 and 80 points. So when I come in and take a look at, these options here, sorted by fantasy player per at bat, total fantasy points for the year, the last 30 days, looking at it, okay, well, Wilmer Flores has been pretty good, but he's cooled down a little bit recently. I think he's been injured, hasn't he? He just came back. And then, Ellie White, not a bad option. If you look at it, 62 points, he's just outside of this top 5 list for that period of time. And he's the top guy in fantasy points per AB. So you kind of see how, you can kind of chat with it on the side and it can bring up some data and kind of give you some insights. The other one to improve my team is, one of my buddies, sees that I'm at the bottom and he's trying to take advantage of me. And so he came and he offered me um, Max Fried, Tyler Soderstrom, and Aldis Garcia. So Soderstrom, we've talked about him. He's one of your great picks in the other league. He's come out hot. He's kind of slowing down a little bit. So I think he's trying to bait me into getting, Matt Olson and Bailey Ober. As we all know, Max Fried, long history, he and I. Um, but I still really like him and believe in him. So that's kind of the lure for this trade. So let's evaluate it. We'll ask coach and see what coach says about evaluating that particular trade. So it might take a minute. And I've also created a view for it so we can actually come in and just take a look at what those players look like in here. So it's gone through and done some analysis, gives you a little bit of a brief write-up on each of the different players. And then it's saying if your team needs pitching depth, acquiring Max Fried is a major upgrade over Bailey Ober. I agree with that. Garcia's some outfield power and production over Stowers. And then be giving up Matt Olson for Soderstrom. So, the recommendation is if your team is in a position to contend immediately, the trade offer is net positive in terms of immediate for Fried and Garcia. If you're investing in the future, keeping Olson and Stowers is probably, a more prudent answer, even Bailey Ober to some degree. So recommending that I accept the trade after the analysis and just gives you another perspective. So that's a little bit how you can use it. I'll stop there and then we'll get into some of the stuff in our league. What are your initial thoughts, Ben?
No, I think it's awesome. So I've obviously messed around with it a little bit myself on the back end, but being able to like showcase this to everyone, at least the stuff that we're working on, I think is great. And I think for me specifically, this will be very useful, for football season and something that I'll be able to, use both myself and with the people on streams and videos and stuff during the NFL season. I'm really excited for it. I think it's a great idea. And I mean, for it being this early stage and I think it works like pretty well for, what we're trying to get from it.
Yeah, it's very early in the roadmap. Like I said, M2M as a team, they've really only been working on it the last 2 months. And then they'll hand it over to our team and we'll continue to grow it. So I'm super impressed. I'm loving it. I just love the fact that I can be in here in a focused view, evaluating a trade, and then just be asking questions about other things without having to get out of this view. Like, where does, you know, rank the top 5 Yankees pitchers to figure out where Max Fried fits in. I know he's number 1, but it gives you kind of an idea of being able to pull in other expert information and evaluate different things while you're working inside of the actual data space itself.
Yeah, and I know you said like I did some like foreshadowing. Like so if you want to like let the people know like where do you think this is headed for us and like in the continuing to kind of improve it and tweak it.
Yeah, so one of the things today is it really, other than having the data from the data space that you've created included inside of the coach, the agent, um, it doesn't really have a lot of information about what your league is, any strategies, et cetera. And so, one of the things that we're working on right now is being able to take it and extend it so that you can apply some of those kind of rules and logic and strategy to it by kind of giving it some standard things to think about while it's responding and giving you some information. And that'll be the first thing you can do. Longer term, we want to be able to take an expert like Ben and be able to give you direct access to the insights and strategies that Ben uses. And so Ben will be able to go in and share his wisdom inside and tune coach so that it turns into Coach Ben. And when you come in here with your data space, with your league data, with any custom data you upgraded, uploaded, you'll be able to get Ben's view and perspective on all these trades. So that's where the future is headed. We're working on that. We're hoping to kind of recruit a bunch of different personalities. So if you don't like Ben, even though you listen to him every day,
Yeah.
you you can come in and you can maybe have me as your coach. And you could have Aiden, who's kind of one of our resident insider hockey experts. And so you'll be able to kind of get those specialized agents, the people that you love, like, listen to, and get their direct access and expertise.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. If you want to, just keep it in mind, if you guys want to talk to the AI version of myself, if you have questions, you can just do it right there. You don't even have to reach out to me. I think it's really, really cool, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. It's a really cool idea.
So so that piece will take a little time. Right now, the coach is sitting behind a feature toggle, so it's not generally available. But if any of you DM Ben, we can get you early access to it. But you got to
Yeah.
reach out to
Yeah.
Ben to request it.
Yeah, reach out to me if you guys want to mess around with this and get that early access like you said.
Okay, cool. So let's come in here and evaluate our leagues. We'll come back in and take a look at the standings. So this is the weekly standings. I'm just going to refresh. Can you still hear me okay? The audio went out.
No, I can still hear you.
Okay, perfect. So we'll come back to standings. No, it didn't really change much. So season standings, I rocketed up here. It's
Yeah,
funny
you
actually,
were way up for a minute.
and then dropped off, which is kind of like, yeah, I don't exactly. I have to go back and analyze day by day what happened there. I think that there was someone who had a bad pitching game, like really bad. I can't remember who it was. Drawing a blank, but regardless, Ben still holding strong in the top four. One of the things I was going to call out: go-to guys drafted first overall. They were up here, then they dropped down. They were below. I think they were in 12th at one point, and then they've rocketed back up to fifth. So it's pretty tight. Like the gap between 12th and fifth is 22 points, but if you look at the stat spread, it's really not that large. You gotta be careful there, Ben. We're all chomping at your
I know,
heels.
I know. You guys are right on me. I gotta make a trade. If somebody please give me someone that can get some steals, or I wouldn't be opposed to another pitcher. I have plenty of power, as you can see. I'm literally first in these offensive categories. Somebody please trade me somebody.
So that's a really good um, kind of segue, and I'll come back in here. And so let's ask Coach. I'm going to do this in reverse order. You kind of set it up for me.
Look at that. I teed you up. We didn't even have that pre-planned. I
Yeah.
just did it.
So we'll come in and take a look at our two teams. We'll look at, we'll stick with general. I'm hoping the data is a little bit better this time because I did a little bit more work on. So this is just, I don't even know what it's ranking by. Let's just check and see. I don't think it's even ranking by anything. Okay, we'll rank them by batter ranking for now. And so, I prepared this prompt earlier. Rolling Insights needs saves. That's Ben's team, number one.
Yes,
They're
please.
nearly last in league saves.
Yep.
Little jab. Should my team, Rolling Insights 2, trade Ryan Helsey for James Wood or Tyler Sodstrom? So let's see what Coach says. And we'll just quickly bring up those players.
Yeah, this is gonna say. Well, I don't know. If it was from my end, it would say yes, make that trade because I have. It's so bad.
If we had tuned it to Coach Ben already, then
Yeah.
Coach Ben was.
Yep.
And for those listening at home, I think there is a rule in place that Ben and I can't trade with each other.
Oh no. Chad, if you guys followed with the Bryce Harper, we just got mushed. Underdog MLB is already tweeting out his career stats against Eric Fetty. We just got mushed hard.
Oh, really? They're gonna
Yeah, I was
change
like
the odds.
joking. So we were looking at the games, and I was like, okay, I know Eric Fetty throws a lot of sinkers, and the Phillies have very good sinker hitters, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. Like, I just know these guys are good sinker hitters. So I looked up their numbers. And then I was like, since I know he pitched for the Nationals, I was like, I don't really use BVP. I don't think it's applicable, but I was like, let's just look because I know they probably have at bats against him because he pitched for the Nationals. And Bryce Harper's like 11 for 20 with 6 home runs like
Yeah,
career. I was like, oh, we got to do it just for the meme. And then now Underdog tweeted it out, so we probably got mushed, but that's okay.
yeah, that's all right. Okay, so coach coming back and saying, just some quick stats on kind of the different players. Helsley has not been great this year so far, which you can kind of see in the pitcher ranking there. Whereas Soderstrom and James Wood have been pretty good. So, has a lower ranking, but compared to the other rank, that's probably not a fair comment. So that one's the AI kind of spitting out something that doesn't make sense. If the team needs saves, then trading Helsley might be beneficial, trading for beneficial, because his performance ranking is relatively low. Between James Wood, both are promising batter ranks, with Wood having a slight edge. So if you're changing looking at hands-on stats, trading Helsley for James Wood probably makes sense. So I think that would probably be a win-win if we could make that trade. I don't know. Would you trade either of these two guys for Helsley?
I would have to look at it. I would be more inclined to trade Soderstrom though, just because I have Josh Naylor. So I already have I have a first baseman that I can use in his place. But I definitely would be
Interesting.
open to trading him, yes.
Well, coach was right. Coach was right then.
Yeah, and I think that was a fairly accurate assessment there.
So, one of the other ones, and this is kind of going back to that second base one, is taking a look at my team and saying, hey, I need some help on second base. Both my teams in both leagues need help on second base.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a blind spot on my end.
Second
Um,
base. I don't know if I can help you there. Well, I have Jorge
so
Polanco, the GOAT, but
he might be an option. He has he been playing much though?
yeah, he just hit a home run. I think it was last night or the night before. I can't remember.
Because I think the games I've watched, he's been sitting. So if I come in and say, evaluate, hey, Willie Castro, I think I can probably get rid of him. He's multi-position, but really hasn't been great. And so evaluating those second basemen, uh, it kind of says, hey, I think the recommendation from should be Ellie White. So it's the same in both wheat leagues. Not surprising, it's the same underlying stats, regardless of the format of the leagues, which is again very much tailored to the data space I created. This data space is created for this league, but giving the same recommendation. So I might have to go and do two pickups today for Ellie White, or at least put in a purchase for a bid for Ellie White in this league. And then the last one I'll do on this one is who has the better batter ranking, who've played at least 20 games. And this might give me again a bit of a sense of like, okay, if I'm looking at these individuals here, like how do they really truly rank against the top players in the league? So it definitely had a bit of an upchuck there. That's not what I was expecting for a response.
I think it might maybe because of if it's ranking per appearance or something. So obviously Kirby Yates probably has a high. I don't know if it obviously this is early stage of the tool, so we're still working on it. And that's why
Yeah, yeah, and it's indeterministic. It's just like all the
yeah.
chat GPT, et cetera. Sometimes it can hallucinate, and it's part of the reason why I did all this in advance. I'm a bit surprised this one's not working. So yesterday, what it essentially gave me was, let's actually ask it again. You got that right. And we'll pull up those two players. And so then it will give you kind of an idea of you can use this to find, okay, what are the top dogs in the league? Where are they ranking? So yeah, Aaron Judge at 8.75. So got it right that time. And so that kind of tells you, well, even if I pick up Eli White, he's going to be, a marked improvement on Willie Castro, but he's probably not going to have, a major impact on my team. He's not going to be a game changer. I'm not finding a hidden gem or a diamond here. This is just getting incrementally better. And so, unlike the other one with the other league where you kind of looked at it, you're like, oh man, Eli White, compared to all the other second basemen, is a pretty good option here. In this particular league, probably not as much of an impact as some of those top dogs.
Yeah.
So, any questions, thoughts, any comments? I can't see the comments while I'm sharing my screen. So, if anyone wants me to try any, then I'm happy to kind of
What
experiment as
happens?
we go.
What happens if you just ask the agent like what team is most likely to win the league or something along those lines? Like, is it gonna like spit anything out?
We can try. It probably won't be able to understand that. Let's do this. Which owner is most likely to win the league based on the performance of their players? The fantasy teams are assigned 2 players in the owner column. Okay, let's see what it does. Some of this stuff it's been struggling a bit with kind of comprehend and providing
Right.
it might default to, well, this team is the top player, or sometimes it even okay, that's not bad. It's saying EY because the average batter ranking is approximately 3.27, so strongest batters. So we would have to probably assess that against the pitching side as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But that's a better response than I thought that it would give, because it has not kind of performed as well. We need to do some more tuning on try to kind of get overall league advice.
Hmm.
Again, it's still early on, and just like all kind of generative AI products, it can perform differently at different times. And as we get more of the tuning in there, the ability for you to kind of go in and add more logic and your own strategies, as well as then tap into Coach Ben in the future and other coaches, it'll only get better.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited for the future of this, to be honest. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so that's all we got for today. And well, maybe before I stop sharing, since I can't see the comments, any comments or anyone want me to try anything?
Yeah, I don't see any currently, but I need to keep playing around with this. So I'm gonna be interested, like I want to go into I'm gonna go into one of my like sports cards ones and just just mess around with it and see just like what happens.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to get a whole bunch of card ladder data,
Hmm.
custom upload it with performance data, and then let coach go through and sort through and provide some recommendations.
Yeah,
Um, that would be that. It's like, I'm obviously biased. My favorite part about Sportwise is just going in and playing with these ideas and building these data spaces, because
yeah,
it's got infinite complexity.
yeah. I'm gonna do that and just see like what happens. Just mess around and see.
So if anyone's interested in playing with it, DM Ben. He'll let the development team to know to add you as a feature talk. We have to have an account created, so send your kind of email address that you've created your account with, and then we'll get you access, and you can go in and play and give us feedback and help shape the future of Coach Ben.
Yeah, I'll tweet this out too after the stream. I'll tweet out, if anybody wants access to the tool and they want to provide us with some feedback, reach out to me.
Nice. Okay. Any other sports talk for the last 15 minutes?
I mean, we hit the hit the PGA Championship. We hit baseball. We hit NHL. I don't know. I mean, we can get your thoughts on the NBA. I don't know how much of the NBA playoffs that you've been watching, but if you have
I
any opinions there.
well, I'm still cheering for OKC and
Yeah.
SGA.
So Steve, obviously being Canadian, has adopted, the Thunder because they have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. So that's I have no issues with that. I think that's completely warranted.
Yeah. And like he's just such a likable, entertaining player to watch. Like it's uh I love him. Like I do love I like the Nuggets as well, and I think they're a great team, but and it's been close, but I'm really pulling for OKC here.
Yeah, I thought last night's game particularly was really fun because it was kind of towards the end of the game, Jokic just started going off, and then SGA on the other side, they were just going back and forth. It was so
I
fun.
know. What was the final score? Like 110 to 112, or it was a high scoring game though.
Yeah, it was yeah, 112, 105, I think is what
Oh,
the
105.
final was. But yeah, I
That was
mean,
good.
Jokic had 44 and Shea had, I think, 30.
Yeah, it was a good one. Um, Other than that, like obviously the, the Tatum injury, I think that changes things quite a bit. Um, do you think the Knicks are going to get through? Like the crazy part is if the Knicks get through, like New York might explode.
Correct. Yeah. I don't know if the Knicks will win tonight, but I would be extremely surprised if the Celtics without Jason Tatum came back from 3-1 down. I think that's unlikely. They might win tonight at home, but to win two more after that, I think would be a
Yeah.
tough ask. But
So
I
that's
think, yeah, New York is just gonna go crazy in the
what,
conference finals.
imagine what the ticket prices are going to be.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. And then I mean the Knicks and the Pacers. So like the Pacers beat the Knicks in the playoffs last year. So having that rematch in the conference finals will just add to the everything.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Okay, I've got one other topic just before we go.
Yeah.
Selfishly, Tanner Hoke for the Boston Red Sox. What is
Oh
going on?
yeah, that's just
Like, do I drop him? Like, I don't understand. Like, I feel like I can't drop him, but he's like literally killing my team.
yeah, he's been pretty bad. So last year, if I look at last year, he had a 3.12 ERA. His expected ERA was 4.11, so he definitely was like a little bit lucky last year, but nothing to the extent of this year. I mean, he's been terrible.
And then he'll have a game where he's okay, and then he'll
Mhm.
get absolutely shelled again.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of him, to be honest with you.
Do you think
Kinda
he's
all over
injured?
the place. He could be. I don't see anything. I don't see anything like velocity wise that would indicate to me that he's injured, but it's clearly something is not right with him. Roki Sasaki, I knew he was injured. I forgot to take him out of my lineup last week because his velo has been way down. And so he came out, obviously, when he came over to the Dodgers, he was known to throw, 102, 103, whatever. So he comes out and that he started that first game, in Japan or whatever. And his first two pitches were over 100 and then kind of just tailed off from there. And the Dodgers had said, we're not concerned about it. We asked him to decrease his velocity to improve the control of the pitches and make him less wild. So I was like, okay, maybe I buy into that maybe. But there's a big difference between throwing 194
Mhm.
and his fastball, it's just not good. He doesn't get any like he so for the season he averaged 96 with it. His last couple starts he was throwing it like 94 miles an hour. So I was like, clearly something is up. And you can't Paul Skeens gets away with throwing like Paul Skeens has like an average, I would say, fastball. He just throws it 100 miles an hour. So he can get away with having an average fastball because he throws it so hard. Roki Sasaki, his fastball is not that good. So when you're going to throw at 94 instead of, 99, you're just not going to be able to get away with it. And he got completely pummeled, in that last start that we saw him. and then they just put him on the injured list with shoulder inflammation or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about him. I don't know if we will like see him pitch again
Yeah,
for a while.
I know we've talked about it in the past. The one thing that M2MAI Ready, we have another team that was working on projections, so machine learning, taking our raw data, projecting outcomes. And one of the ones we were talking about, we didn't end up going down that path, but could be an interesting one in the future for future students, is predicting injuries based on some of the performance data. I still have that theory. Like if a guy starts, and the same thing happened to Max Fried that one year I had him in the expert league, is came out through inconsistent and then went on the IL for the remainder of the year. I'm curious with Tanner Hoke, like nothing velo, etc. But why is it so inconsistent? Why is one game good and then the next one he's getting absolutely smoked?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything in like his like home road splits. I don't know. Let me see. I'm gonna look. I don't know. It's kind of strange though, like you said, to just be so inconsistent.
And then do I
He's,
drop him? I can't
I don't
keep
think
putting
I
him.
could have him on my team currently. Okay, so for this season specifically, this is obviously a small sample. I would need to go back and look at career too, but he has a 222 batting average allowed at home, 371 on the road. Let me see if that holds up for his career. Career home 240. No, it kind of flips. So I don't know. That could just be small sample stuff. For his career, though, 251 batting average to lefties, 229 to righties. He definitely struggles both career and this season with lefties. So I don't know. Maybe I'd have to go check. Like maybe those starts that he's been really, really bad this year. He's playing, lefty heavy lineups. I'd have to go check.
Mhm. Yeah, probably like the aggregate stats tell that story. I don't know. It's a tough one. Like I think I've got to drop him. Like I can't keep having every second week.
Yeah.
Like
What was that last one? He just had like the other night. Uh,
I don't know what it translated into his stats, but he had minus 27.5 points.
yeah, he threw 2 1/3 innings and he gave up 11 earned runs. So they just
Yeah,
left him. They just left him out there to die after he
yeah,
started. That
yeah.
was
You
on the road.
started this.
That was on the road.
Yeah. So you think maybe he's eating out a bit too much when he's on
I
the
don't know.
road?
He has two
Yeah.
starts this season with 11 earned runs on. They were both on the road.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna drop him. I know what's gonna happen is he's either gonna get injured, he's either gonna go on the IL and I'll be like, right, okay, saw that coming, good decision. Or he's gonna uh figure it out in a month and someone's gonna pick him up for free. I've tried to trade him. Obviously, no one will accept him. I said I would take any roster player on any team, and no one would take him.
oh wait, this is off topic, but what I just remembered to ask you about this. Do you think the NBA draft lottery is rigged? This is my question
I
for you.
saw your hot take on that. Like, I
Oh,
honestly
it's
don't think it
rigged.
is. I don't think it is. Because like I think they have an auditor who observes the creation of the balls and the selection of them, et cetera. And so like they're doing the process right. Same with NHL.
Mm.
And I think it's just pure luck. And
Wasn't there some drama one time with one of the balls or something? I feel like there
there's
was. I can't remember though. It was like years ago. I just remember there was something with David Stern and the balls. There was some drama about it.
did it get stuck or something?
Yeah,
I
I don't.
vaguely remember like a
I
video
can't
where like
remember.
it's
I
like,
just
well, what
remember
do
there
they
was.
do? Like, do they poke it in or
I don't know. I can't. I believe in. There's no way this guy traded Luca and gets rewarded for that. Like that's not how the universe works. You can't make a decision like that and you get rewarded for it.
well, it's funny because you talk about hockey and you look at the Edmonton Oilers. Like,
Mm,
how many times
yeah.
did they win the draft lottery or move up? Like, it was
Yeah.
insane. Like, I think it was like I think they had four. So Nail Yakupov, Taylor Hall, Connor McDavid. I feel like I'm forgetting one. Ryan Nugent Hopkins. Four.
Yeah.
They're like 4 in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And only two of those guys still play there. And then they had a bunch of other ones where they got lucky and like got dry. I think Draisaitl, maybe that was the position they were in. But there was another one where they got Eberle. That might have been a later round pick, but definitely a steal. And then somehow for so long they were so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
I
don't I
don't.
don't think it's rigged. I think it's just pure luck.
Yeah, it
Um,
probably is, but it's just crazy how like the only time there's ever been teams with like 1% chance to get it, it's like coincidentally right after they have
yeah,
like lost like a franchise player. In
yeah.
years past though, like those teams sucked. Like the Pelicans without, AD or Chris Paul, like they sucked. So I can understand them getting the first pick. The Cavs without LeBron, completely terrible the first
Yep.
time after he left. Like I can understand them getting it. The Mavericks just made the play in and get the first pick. Like that one, I was like, I know they changed it to like, prevent teams from tanking, but it's just crazy. Like it's
So have
just
you
crazy.
have you heard of the format they're using in the PWHL?
I have not.
So they're using a format. I don't know if it's a lottery as well, but the draft order is decided by the number of points your team scores after they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So
Interesting.
what ends up happening is if you've got so this is to discourage tanking.
Hmm.
So if your team sucks and it's terrible, instead of just falling off a cliff, selling all your players, and just increasing the chances, if your team sucks, you're still motivated to win as many games as you can afterwards because all the points you get after you're eliminated count towards your draft ranking.
Yeah, that's an
And
interesting dynamic there.
in the case of like the Mavericks, if you essentially made the playoffs but are still in the lottery, their rank and order would have been 0 points because they
Hmm.
wouldn't have had a chance to make any points afterwards. The Flames this year were eliminated on the 81st game. They would only have 2 points because they
Right.
won their last game. So I think that's a great way to avoid tanking. And really will force teams to really consider whether you want to go and sell the farm and sell all these rental players at the deadline. Um, as opposed to keeping them around, which is better for fans. Like fans want to go watch good sports. They don't want to go and sit in an empty stadium for the last 30 games of the season and just watch the other team's good players.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people like speculating should the NFL go to a lottery type system, and I'm sure they have these like, just general conversations all the time, but I don't know, like I think something like that, like you just brought up, is very interesting. Like I would be, curious to see testing on that in other leagues and see how it works. The problem for the NFL is there's no other football league. Like the MLB can just test things, in minor league baseball rule changes and stuff, and you can see kind of how it works out. But the NFL really doesn't have that
And,
opportunity.
and I
But
don't know if that would even work in NFL because there's not enough games. So
yeah,
like if you
yeah,
if you're mathematically eliminated, in week 12,
yeah.
week 10, you've only got seven more games and your team sucks, you're probably going to lose all of them anyways.
Yeah, and I don't think they should really make any tweaks. I think the NFL does everything fine right now. If you suck, you should get the NFL is the only. I guess in hockey you can get this too once in a while, but the NFL is really the only league where you're getting ready-made players to play right now in multiple rounds, not just your first pick. Like you can take someone in the third round that's going to start immediately for your team. So the bad teams should be awarded, picking at the top of the rounds, I think. So maybe they could change the tiebreaker system because I don't know how the NFL does tiebreakers. It goes off like strength of schedule and like weird stuff. Like maybe if you get all the teams that finish 2 and 14 or 15, whatever, you want to lottery those, put those three teams in a lottery or something. That is something I could be open to, but I don't think they should change the actual like format of the draft. I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's the one sport where you don't have a lot of options because you don't play enough games. And yeah, bad teams are bad. Like you need to give them a chance to get better. Um,
Yeah. And I think like I don't know how many people watched the NBA, the picking of the teams the other night. I don't know what the viewership was on that, but we know how well the NFL draft does in viewership. Could you imagine if the Titans, Browns, and like Patriots all finished with the same record and they were going to put on TV some picking balls to figure out who was going to get Cam Ward? That people would totally watch that.
you're right. That part might be enticing for Roger Goodell. Like he might be like, "Oh man, this would be another viewing opportunity." Not we wouldn't get. Was it 600,000 people went to Lambeau,
Yeah, we wouldn't
or
get
went
that,
to
but I mean,
which is crazy that many people went to Green Bay. But is it really 600,000? That number seems so high.
yeah, I don't know, like, what's the crossover between the same people? How do we
Yeah,
parse between the people that came like, okay, if you're
on
saying
day one and day
200,000
two.
people
Yeah,
came day 1, 2, and 3, it's probably, like, a large majority of the same 200,000 people.
yeah. They do the same thing at the Calgary Stampede. They get 100,000 people a day for 10 days. So there's over 1 million people.
Yeah. Probably
But
a lot of the same people, though.
there are some. It wouldn't be a lot because it's a lot to go down even for one day.
Mhm,
But you would have some people that would be going 2 days. Some would
mhm.
be going three. So you probably don't get a million unique people.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, for the
and
NFL specifically, no one is traveling to Lambeau to go to Saturday that didn't go to Thursday and Friday. Like, I'm not gonna go
yeah,
watch the 5th round of the NFL draft if I didn't go to the 1st round.
exactly. Yeah, you're going to be eating cheese all 3 days.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
Bennett,
Yeah,
thank
thank you
you.
guys. Yeah, thank you for showing that up. That was awesome, and I'm excited to, showcase that moving forward once we tweak it, continue to improve it and stuff.
Yeah, and just remember, reach out to Ben if you want access. He'll tweet it out.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Good luck with your fantasy leagues and all that stuff tonight. I will be live tomorrow, same time, same place, and see you guys then.
Have a good one, and maybe Aiden next week.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe Aiden next Wednesday. We'll have Jeff make a graphic for that if he's going to come on the stream.
Oh, nice. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, see you guys.
Have a great day.